this is Somerset News Network. Another update on the LA riots, but I think we should now read USA riots. Well, some of them are peaceful demonstrations actually, so I can't say they're all riots yet. It's an organised left-wing Marxist woke protest. Who's behind it? Well, commentators are suggesting all sorts of people. You know, you can say the usual suspects. There was a report on a independent news channel saying that some of the rioters in LA were being paid £1,000 a week. Some are linking it to Chinese agents. I don't know. What we do know is that it's left-wing orientated and it's against Trump. It's amazing, isn't it, how you've got 20 or 30 different Democrats and they all come out with exactly the same wording, the same soundbite. It's like they've been given a script that they've got blinkers on and they can't go out of the script. They can't see what's in front of their very eyes. Oh, it's peaceful protest, we were told. You know, then we were told that the people throwing rocks at the police and the National Guard were only defending themselves. This is how the Democrats work, and they try and justify their actions. You've seen all the pictures on the television. They're burning cars, they're ripping the sidewalks up and throwing rocks at cars going past. This is not peaceful demonstration. You know, the LA police aren't being allowed to do their job because of the mayor of LA, Mayor Boss. They want to try and hamper, or Mayor Boss does, the capture and deportation of illegal criminals within LA. Well, this is happening all over the country. ICE and the local police are picking up gang members, rapists, murderers, and God knows what else. They've done drug dealers that are illegally in the United States, which is also an illegal act to be in a country without permission, and they're going to deport them. No problems with that whatsoever. But the Democrats, they think that all these criminals and that are all going to vote Democrat. So they got to keep them, they got to look after them. This is what happened with Tony Blair. There were riots and things, but he courted the Indian population when he first got elected, and he let more Indian immigrants in thinking that they would all vote Labour. And then Boris won. The Indians didn't want to vote Labour, they voted for Boris. You know, we don't know how the immigrant population would vote. I expect it's split like the rest of the population. There's rumours and talks about all sorts of things going on. But it is organised. There was one guy that has just been picked up yesterday who was handing out masks to the protesters, so allegedly they couldn't be identified. However, 4 guys that were attacking police officers 2 days ago were identified by the FBI, even though they had masks on, and now warrants are out for their arrest. The idea is to create unrest, to try and force Trump out of the White House. That's the aim. To create anarchy by any means possible. Peaceful demonstration into riots. If peaceful demonstrations don't work, then they will riot. And they're rioting against the police. And obviously now the National Guard. But law and order has to be maintained, and they have to try and stop looting. They looted a T-Mobile store. Everybody just went in and took the phones. Well, somebody from T-Mobile was being interviewed on I don't know, some YouTube channel. Said that when they put a SIM card into the phones, it won't work because we've cancelled them all. So the phones aren't going to work anyway. Modern technology can be quite good, really. A senator from LA went into a press conference of the Homeland Security and was screaming and shouting, and nobody knew who he was. He had no badges or identification on him. They didn't know if he was a terrorist or was going to attack anybody. He tried to disrupt the press conference, so they got hold of him and took him out. Now they're saying, oh, this is tyranny. This is how a king works. How ridiculous can you get? Oh yeah, they're calling Trump a king now. And on Saturday, that's tomorrow, is the 200th anniversary of the American Army. When the Americans were fighting us. Because we were being stupid bloody idiots. The American War of Independence should not have happened. We had bad actors in charge in this country. The Americans blamed George III. George III has no power. The power of the crown was taken away from them with our glorious revolution in 1688. James II was a tyrant. And we're talking real tyrant. He wouldn't let Protestants hold government office, and he took arms off the Protestants but allowed Catholics to be armed. So the Prince of Orange and Mary, that's James II's daughter, who had would have been the next in line to the throne, went to Brixham in Devon and marched up the road, which is now the 303, and marched to London. Before they got to London, James II opted and went to Scotland. That was the glorious revolution, and not a shot was fired. Now, the American War of Independence should never have happened. What my country did to America is the same sort of thing as Starmer is doing to us now. Laws of tyranny, excessive taxes, not allowing free speech. And this is under Starmer and under our government. The head of the country was George III. But like I said, he had no powers. The power relied in Parliament with the Prime Minister and his cabinet. Now, William Pitt was the Prime Minister but became ill. A guy called Lord North took over. He was a wrong 'un. He was a bad guy. May have been a Jacobite, I'm not sure. But there was a group of Jacobites, which are Catholic sympathisers from Scotland, who would have been friends of the Scottish Freemasons. They were taking over the government. They were running out of money and needed money. So you've got the colonies, you were producing sugar, you were producing grain, cotton and tobacco. And they taxed you. They put a corn tax on, a tobacco tax, corn tax, cotton tax, tobacco tax. They taxed everything they could. You, in America, rightly said it was taxation without representation. Perfectly true. I say that it was this group under Lord North that were putting these taxes on you. Not the British people, not George III. George III would have had to sign it, like if you get a bill go through your Congress, the President signs the bill at the end to make it come law. The same's true in this country. George III would have signed it. But he wouldn't have been the guy who organised it. That would have been Lord North. He put all the taxes on you. They even charged you a barracks tax. And that was to tax our troops in the United States. You know, it was wrong. I can see it was wrong. No wonder why you started fighting us. It was the tyranny of Lord North that was the problem, not King George. 250 years ago, the American army was formed to fight us, and rightly so. We were the bad lads. Now, on Saturday, they've got a parade. The army is going to march. But the Democrats have got hold of it and said, oh, he's a king. It's his birthday. He's got the army out. No. It's nothing to do with that. It's your army, it's your country, and it's 250 years since you fought us. And rightly so. We were in the wrong, big time. But it was Lord North and his cronies, who I think were Jacobites. They were the bad lads. That was tyranny. You know, and the British basically didn't stand a chance. We were fighting in Europe. One minute we were fighting the French, then we were fighting the Spanish, then we were fighting both of them. Fighting in India. So you had British Royal recruits out there who were not a professional army. Or if they were a professional army, they weren't very well trained. Your militia stood up and was counted. And rightly so. And you've maintained that militia mentality to this day. That's why you've now got the National Guard. You've got the militia and the National Guard. And some of the National Guard are the militia. I'm not sure how it works. But you've maintained that mentality. And that's to look after your country, to safeguard your country, to safeguard government buildings, to safeguard the people and the businesses. So now you've got the Democrats who want to disrupt the peaceful order of government. It's to have a go at Trump. That's all it's about. They think they ought to be in power. They're narcissists, most of them. You know, Gavin Newsom was on the telly explaining things. And you can pick holes in it all the way through. He's delusional. But what he's doing is he's playing to his voters, his demographic. And they'll just believe it. They won't find out information for themselves. They're just useful idiots. The police have woken up and are arresting people now, but they've got the backing of the National Guard. The National Guard cannot arrest people, as far as I understand. So the police have still got to do the arresting. You've also got ICE still there, and they will pick up the illegals and ship them out, which is right. And you're right to do that. Look at this country. We got them coming over from boats from France in dinghies. And then we go out into the channel and pick them up. Then we put them in 5-star hotels. They don't need to work. They don't need to spend any money. Oh, well, we give them money as well, and Wi-Fi and mobile phones, you know. It's craziness. Being a criminal, being illegal in America and in Britain is a profitable business. Any other walk of life, if you're a criminal, you should not profit from your crime. If you're illegal, your crime is entering the country illegally. But the country, America, was under Biden, and under these sanctuary cities and all these woke governors, they're quite willing to throw money at these illegals. Like we're doing in Britain with all the boat people coming in. People should not profit from their illegal activities, and going into a country without permission is illegal. Full stop. So, I hope that common sense will prevail. I hope that the protesters keep it peaceful. I remember the Vietnam demonstrations in the 60s. They brought the National Guard in, and the protesters were hippies. Flower power time. And they had bunches of flowers, and they put the flowers in the rifles as a peaceful demonstration. Perhaps the demonstrators now ought to think the same way. The police and the National Guard are not your enemy. They're there to protect property, life, and businesses. Anyway, I think I've said enough. I hope that the demonstrations can be peaceful, because you've got the right to protest. But if you riot, I hope the full force of the law comes down on your head. Ian, Somerset News Network, signing off. Bye bye.